Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we have a very special guest, my sister-in-law, and we decided to film her homecoming makeup look. I figured why not film it for you guys if you guys are wanting to do your own homecoming makeup on your own or you need some inspo. We have her joining us today and we did this beautiful look on her. If you guys want to go ahead and see how I got this makeup done on my sisters-in-law for homecoming, then please keep watching. So I'm gonna grab the Soft Ochre by MAC and apply that all over her eyes. So I know usually we buff this in really well and then set it with a powder or like a shade that's close to her skin tone. But I've been testing this lately and I realized when you put concealer without setting it or like the MAC paint pot right away without setting it and going in with your first shadow color, it picks up the shadow color much better. So we're gonna go in with the Carly Bible palette and we're going with this mauve shade right here, and this is going to act as the transition shade, and I'm going to put that all over her crease area, going from the inner to the outer corner in circular motion. Once I have that transition color basically on most of her eye, I'm going to grab a brush and just start blending out the edges of where the paint pot is and just make sure that is smoothed out. I'm then gonna grab ColourPop in the shade Amaze. This is the Super Shock shadow. It's like a pinkish, goldish, rosy goldish type of shadow. I'm gonna grab a flat brush and I'm gonna spray the brush first with some Fix Plus and then go into this shadow. And this is gonna go on the middle area of her eyelids and outwards. I'm not really gonna take it all the way in. You wanna focus this color mainly in the center because we are gonna put some dark mauve at the outer corner and a lighter color in the inner corner. I'm then gonna go in with the Carly Bible palette and I'm gonna grab this shade right here. And I'm gonna grab that and focus it on the outer corner of her eyes. I'm gonna barely tap into the darkest purple, just a little bit, so we can darken this up just a little bit more. So I'm building this color up. I'm starting with a little bit at a time, and then slowly building it up to the darkness that I want. I'm grabbing the big fluffy brush with no products on. This is the brush that we used to apply the first transition shade. And I'm just gonna start blending everything out up here, make sure there isn't any harsh lines. I'm then gonna grab this shade right here, and this is gonna go all the way in her inner corner. So the same brush that we used to apply the color on her lids, I'm just gonna wipe away the excess shadow, spray it with some Fix Plus again, and go in with that color and focus that in the inner corner of her eyes. And I'm gonna blend this color in with the other color that I applied in the middle of her eyelids. Next, we're gonna grab the Stila Glitter and Glow shadow. This is in the color Kitten Karma. It's like a glittery shadow situation. And we're just gonna go ahead and apply that in the very center of her eyes, just to give it a little bit of a pop. I'm gonna grab the same brush that we were using to apply the shadows on her lids and then just blend it into the shadows so you can't really tell when that shadow started. Alright, so now we basically have most of the shadow on. I just want to darken the outer corner of her eyes just a little bit. So I'm going to grab the darkest mauve shade and a little bit, just a tad bit of that brown that's in the palette, and just focus it on the outer corner just so we can darken this up just a tad bit more. So now that we have the main colors on her eyes, we're gonna stop right here for a while and move on to her eyebrows. I'm just gonna fill those in a little bit. So we went ahead and filled in her eyebrows, and we're going in with the brow gel, and we're gonna fill these in, or set these. We're gonna first apply her lashes, and then we're gonna go in with the eyeliner and see how thick, how thin, how winged we want the liner to be. So you guys, she's never applied false lashes ever. This is actually gonna be her first time having some falsies on.
Yeah.
So while these lashes are drying up a little bit, I'm just gonna wipe off any shadow excess that could have fallen on her face with some makeup wipes, and then I'm gonna go in with the moisturizer and prep the face before we start applying the foundation. So now that the lashes are dried up, we're gonna go in with eyeliner. I'm using the Stila Stay All Day Waterproof. Let's try this again. Stila Stay All Day Waterproof Liquid Liner. And I'm just gonna go ahead and create a wing on her eyes and cover up the line of the lashes. Just gonna use wet makeup wipes. And if you feel like it's not as sharp enough, you can go ahead and just sharpen it up.
Ooh, the eyeliner looks good.
Yeah, thanks. So for foundation, we're gonna grab the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation. I'm gonna mix 2 shades together to get the perfect color for her. So once I have that on her entire face, I'm then gonna go into the Beauty Blender, blend all of this in. All right, next I'm gonna go in with Tarte Shape Tape Concealer and just put this underneath her eyes right here to brighten it up a bit. For her eyes, I like going in with this small beauty blender to get into those harder to reach areas. We're just gonna go over any problem areas with a little bit more coverage. Since she has oily skin, we're gonna go ahead and go into the powder. So the foundation that I applied on her is very mattifying, so it will help if she has oily skin. And just to make sure that none of her foundation falls away or doesn't get too oily, I'm just gonna powder up her face with the Milani Even Touch Powder Foundation. We're gonna set just her under eyes with the Laura Mercier translucent powder. But before we do that, I'm just gonna go in with the Beauty Blender and blend out any little creases that there's still left over and immediately set. So while we have that baking, if you will, I'm gonna go back in with the palette and go with the darkest shade. And we're gonna start applying that, look up, on her lower lash line, just in the outer corner, and I'm stopping halfway in, putting it very, very close to her lower lash. I'm then gonna grab the second purple shadow in this palette, and we're gonna blend this mauve color out and dragging it into the inner corner. I'm gonna grab MAC Saddle. It's like a brownish, orangish type of shadow, and I just want to create some warmth on her lower lash line. So very lightly, I'm just gonna blend this at the bottom. So we were testing out purple liner, but that didn't go so well because her dress is like pinky rose goldish. So we're just gonna get a white, help me out. What are we doing?
We're using a white eyeliner to cover up the purple eyeliner.
Perfect.
That won't come off.
Yes,
So.
and we're gonna use it in her waterline. So her eyes are still watery, so before we finish the eyes, we're gonna move on to the face. Just gonna wipe away the translucent powder that we had on here, pressing it into the skin. I'm going in with the Pure Contour Diaries. And I'm just gonna mix these 3 shades together, mainly focusing on the middle shade. I'm using a big fan brush, that way we create a soft contour so it's not so harsh. And we're just gonna go ahead and start placing that on her cheeks. So since she doesn't have a big forehead, I'm not gonna contour her forehead so much, but I just want to create some of a bronze so it just blends in together with her rest of her face. Last thing for the eyes, we're gonna grab the Kaylin built-in sponge tip mineral eyeshadow. We're just gonna pop that in her inner corner. Alright, so the camera died, but what we basically did is we grabbed Soar MAC lip liner and just applied that all over her lips. And then we're gonna mix in 2 ColourPop liquid lipsticks in Trap and Midi. It's kind of like a mauve-ish, pinkish shade, and we're just gonna apply that all over her lips. I'm just mixing those 2 together. We're now gonna go into highlighter. Before I apply highlighter, I'm just gonna set her face with some setting spray so it can absorb the highlighter better. I'm then gonna grab a pink blush, something like this, and just apply that on her cheeks. It's going on the apples of her cheeks, up to her cheekbone, and blending it into the highlighter. I'm just gonna contour her nose a bit. We're just gonna grab this shade right here. It's the cream pinkish shade. Mix it in a little bit with the yellow undertone shade, and we're just gonna clean up this area. I don't want it sitting there for too long because we don't want it to be super sharp. We're just cleaning it up. So I'm gonna immediately buff it out.